What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Another Monday show here. Apologies for missing the show on Thursday and or Friday. Kind of fluctuate depending on life. But we're back. Got another mock to go through today. Go Birds. We're doing my Eagles and the LA Chargers as well. So some interesting pieces moving around with those two teams, both very good teams though, playoff teams this year. And Eagles, of course, won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Got my Super Bowl hat on. So yeah, let's get into the mock sim here. Starting off, of course, with Fernando Mendoza at the top. We got the Jets going Ruben Bain. Cardinals, what are they going to do? They go Arvell Reese. Titans, David Bailey. Giants go Carnell Tate. Francis Mauigoa for the Browns. Commanders go Jeremiah Love. Jermod McCoy to the Saints. Sonny Styles for the Chiefs. Caleb Downs to the Bengals. Dolphins going Jordan Tyson. Monroe Freeling to the Cowboys. Caleb Lomu for the Rams. Mansour Delane for the Ravens. Jets moving up one spot to get Mekhi Lemon, 16 and a third next year. Keldrick Falk to the Bucks. Dylan Thieneman to the Lions. Vikings going Peter Woods. Avion Terrell, the Cowboys jumping up one spot, 20 and 112 to the Panthers. Spencer Fano goes to the Panthers. The Steelers go Blake Miller. So this sets up beautifully for the Chargers, okay? I was thinking about coming up, but I did not. Lions won a whole host of selections to move up 28 spots there. Texans giving us a third to move back 6 spots. I don't like that, and that's too far as well. 12 spots to the second round. But you look, so Chargers have all their picks. Eagles have 2 3s. But you look at what the Chargers need, okay? They have pretty solid players. They signed Tyler Biadasz to be the center. Cole Strange comes in from Miami to play right guard as well. They, of course, traded for Trevor Penning last year. He's at the left guard and Alt at right tackle, Slater at left with Trey Pipkins backing him up. I still have interior O-line as their number one need, okay? Who knows about these guys? This is a team that is pretty well built, especially what they did in free agency on the offensive side of the ball. They didn't have to do much on defense. They re-signed a lot of their own guys. So I really had interior O-line as the number one need. The depth, I'm just not sold. They did sign Coyote Awasika from the Lions, which I think is a very good player. Has played 50 games over the last 3 seasons combined, started 11. But who knows if Trevor Penning will continue to work out. Tyler Biadasz has had his own injury concerns, as has Cole Strange. Cole Strange, a former first-round pick with the Patriots, has been so-so in New England, was, I think, better in Miami. Biadasz, a cap casualty there for Washington. So he's up there in age as well. I think we get a guy that can solidify the future inside. And we go with my Penn State boy, Aliva Vega Ione. I think he'd fit in perfectly into this Jim Harbaugh style run attack that they want to utilize with O'Marion Hampton and now Keaton Mitchell, Kamani Vidal as well. Second was safety. Most of the safeties are gone. I would not be opposed to Amanda McNeil Warren. I've seen him in some mock drafts first round. I think he will go first eventually. Not sure I like it based off what the board is right here. Interior D line, safety though. By the way, just Tony Jefferson is old, and they don't have a lot of depth as well. Interior D line was my next one for LA. They did sign Dalvin Tomlinson to play the nose, but him and Tier Tart are both up there in age. And again, they have almost no depth there besides Justin Eboigbe going into year 3, 24, fourth rounder. QB2 was the next one. Again, this team does not have a lot. I think they should probably draft someone to compete with Trey Lance for that backup spot. Wide receiver. Again, I think that it's just the depth issue. I'm not sold on some of these depth guys. Keandre Lambert-Smith played very well as a fifth-round rookie last season. And I think the board's still out there on Quentin Johnston, whether he will work out or not going into year 4. And I don't think he had his fifth-year option picked up, so he's going into his contract year, I believe. And then edge rush. It's just the age with Khalil Mack and Bud Dupree. Kyle Kennard going into year 2 as a fourth-rounder from last year. They don't have a lot of other depth behind Tuli Tuipulotu. So I like edge there as well. But again, with how the board filled out, I mean, it's perfect that we get a Aliva Vegaione here for the LA Chargers. Go Birds, on with the Eagles here. The Packers want to come up and have a ton of picks there. Not moving back that far, sorry. Again, 22 picks. I just don't think that's worthwhile. 5 picks. Now, this one is intriguing, okay? 5 picks for our third rounder next year. You give us a second this year. That could be intriguing. However, we already have 2/3 and a second. So I'm not very sold that I have to do that, especially with the board here, what we have. Now, there is something to say. Kenyon Sadiq is a potential player here. But I actually might end up taking that Texans trade just because while I do like Kenyon Sadiq, it's not as big of a need with Dallas Goedert back in the fold for 1 year. I understand drafting for the future tight end with Kenyon Sadiq would be great, but number one need for me for Philly, 2 edge rushers. They lost Jalen Phillips in free agency. Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche both left as well. And they didn't really get a ton. They got Arnold Ebiketie and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. They are pretty thin behind Nolan Smith and Jelix Hunt. So they need to get it at least 1 in the first 2 days, maybe 2. Safeties, my next one. They traded Sidney Brown. Michael Carter II really hasn't been the greatest after he came over from the Jets last year. They re-signed Marcus Epps, but he's on the older side, and I don't think is that efficient. They lost Reed Blankenship in free agency. Andre Sam hasn't really played a ton of snaps. JT Gray's a special teamer. Of course, Andrew Makuba going into year 2, expected to take a big step there as a second rounder from 25. Wide receiver, Hollywood Brown signed on a 1-year deal. So is Elijah Moore. They definitely, at the very worst, need to find that future wide receiver 3, if not the future wide receiver 2 to go with Devontae Smith long term, if or when AJ Brown is traded. Interior O-line, the depth there is lacking, I think. Drew Kendall, a 5th rounder from last year, okay. But they've really been hurt with injuries to Landon Dickerson. Not sure how much longer he's going to play. Cam Jurgens has been injured as well. So they definitely need to upgrade the interior O-line depth. Interior D line, sort of the same thing. The depth is severely lacking behind Ty Robinson going into year two as a fourth rounder. Byron Young, I really like that pickup last year from Vegas off waivers. Gabe Hall's been a undrafted guy that's been playing very well since he came on to the team in 24. But the thing is, are they going to resign Jalen Carter? That's the biggest thing. And Moro Ojimo will soon be a free agent as well. So, but need depth for sure. Tackle, offensive tackle. Yeah, I mean it's the Lane Johnson thing. They drafted Miles Hinton in the sixth round last year. They have Fred Johnson, who they just re-signed. They also drafted Cameron Williams in the sixth round last year as well. So they have some guys, but not any people that they've spent premium picks on. So tackle could be if they want to find the right tackle of the future there for Lane Johnson. And then long snapper. They don't have a long snapper on the roster currently, so that's going to be something that they need to figure out there for sure. And it's not corner anymore. I really like what they've done with corner, getting Reek Woolen, even though it's a 1 year deal, and Jonathan Jones on a 1 year deal as well. You could probably go corner, but I think that is not as big of a deal now with some of the other needs that they have on the roster. So the Texans trade, right? That moves us down 5 spots. We pick up a second round this year, lose a third round next year. Just looking at what the Eagles have next year, they haven't traded really anything. They have their own picks, rounds 1 through 5. They have the Packers 6th rounder from the Darian Kennard trade and the Jets 7th rounder from the Michael Carter trade. So they have 7 picks next year. I would probably say we stick and pick because next year's draft is supposed to be a lot better than this year's draft, even though we're getting a great value, 25 points there. I just think that we stick and pick here. And so where do we go? I again, I like the Kenyon Sadiq thing. I think there's more pressing needs. That's why I'm going to go with the top edge rusher on the board, and that's going to be a key Messidor. Now he's an older player. I saw he was drafted to the Eagles in Matt Miller's 7-round mock today, but 25 years old, older player, but very experienced. I like that. Productive as well, and 6'3", 280, a little heavy. Play on a 3-4 outside, but not the worst thing. Productive nonetheless. I think Akeem Messidor for the Eagles here. Got Ty Simpson to the Browns. Wow. Caden Proctor for the Bears. Casey Concepcion to the Bills. Omar Cooper Jr. for the Niners. Brandon Cisse for the Texans. Chiefs going Caden McDonald. Colton Hood for the Dolphins. Patriots going Maxey and Achor. Seahawks go Chase Basantis. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I think you got to. I mean, there is absolutely no way Kenyon Sadiq should be on the board here. So we are going to come up with the Philadelphia Eagles from 54 to the Jets. We like trading with the Jets. Very familiar with Joe Douglas there. Wow. 21 spots here. 2/3. That do it? We get a 6th back. Gosh, dang it. All right. Well, I don't really want to overpay for a tight end. Um, okay, so we got a seventh back instead. Anyways, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing here. Yeah, Bengals want to come up 8 spots. But yeah, I mean, this is amazing value that we're getting at the top of the second round with Kenyon Sadiq. So tight end of the future. I know it's not a need, pressing need, but I think he'd be awesome in this offense. TJ Parker goes to the Cardinals. Denzel Boston for the Titans. D'Angelo Ponds for the Raiders. Emmanuel McNeil Warren to the Giants. Jacob Rodriguez for the Texans. Chris Bell for the Browns. Zion Young for the Chiefs. CJ Allen goes to the Bengals. Saints going Chris Brazzell. Emmanuel Pregnon for the Dolphins. Anthony Hill Jr. for the Jets. Jennings Dunker for the Ravens. AJ Halsey for the Bucks. Lee Hunter goes to the Colts. Falcons are going to go Antonio Williams. Vikings go Keith Abney. Demetrius Crownover for the Lions. Bears coming up. Malachi Lawrence, 57 and a third next year. Trading Stukes to the Packers. Christian Miller goes to the Steelers. Lewis Moore for the Jets. We are on with the Chargers not moving back that far. Lions, sorry. Again, that's 27 spots here for the Vikings with just a third. Like, that's not even close. So we're sticking here with the Chargers. We got the top guard in Oliva Vega Ione at the first round pick. Safety is a need and perfect. Look at that. It fits us again. Genesis Smith, excellent player out of Arizona, good size, 6'2", 204. And yeah, I mean, the board is just falling perfectly for the Chargers right now. Interior D line would be something I was hoping Christian Miller maybe would fall here. We do have Caleb Banks, who's a run stuffing machine with pass rush upside. Not going to draft the QB yet. Wide receiver would be something. Jeremy Bernard is there. And then edge, you got Gabe Jacas, who bought out the Senior Bowl. Cassius Howell, I really like him. Skylar Bell's a guy I really like as well. But yeah, I think we just go Genesis Smith. Safety position's not that deep in this draft. So I like going here with the Chargers. Genesis Smith. Okay, Jacas goes to the Jags. Panthers going Sam Hecht. 49ers. Oh, Commanders coming up 71 and a third next year to the 49ers. Oscar Delp goes to the Texans. Josiah Trotter for the Bears. Jacoby Lane to the Rams. Justin Jolie for the Broncos. Patriots going Zachariah Branch. Cassius Howell for the Seahawks. Mike Washington Jr. for the Cardinals. Keontae Scott for the Titans. Skylar Bell goes to the Raiders. Okay, Jags want to come up 13 spots for a third next year. Ravens 12 spots for a fourth next year. Why would we take that? We might as well just move back 13. Eagles, though, I mean, I've loved this draft so far. We got Akeem Messidor and Kenyon Sadiq, two excellent players in the first and second round. Now our last pick here, edge again. R. Mason Thomas is a solid player. Joshua Josephs. You got safety. Kamari Ramsey is here. Bryce Lance at wide receiver. I think wide receiver is where I want to go here with how the board is shaking out. Ted Hurst and Bryce Lance, those are two big-time receivers. And I would really like to go with either one. 6'3", 185 for Ted Hurst. Bryce Lance is bigger, 6'3", 209. Both have balled out throughout their careers at Georgia State and North Dakota State, respectively. I'm going to go Ted Hurst, partially because he's ranked higher on Pro Football Sportsnet, but also because I saw him in person at the Senior Bowl. I think he would be an excellent addition to this Philly offense, whether that is with or without AJ Brown. I still think he fits that mold, and I think Ted Hurst would be excellent for Jalen Hurts. So get Jalen Hurts 2 weapons in this draft. Julian Neal, the Falcons coming up, 79-122 back to the Texans. Jonah Coleman for the Browns. 49ers going Caleb Tiernan. Bengals go Chris Johnson. R. Mason Thomas for the Saints. Will Lee to the Chiefs. Joshua Josephs to the Dolphins. Keelan Rutledge for the Steelers. Deontay Lawson for the Bucks. Kamari Ramsey for the Colts. Texans going Parker Brailsford. Just checking. All right. Caleb Banks goes to the Ravens. Broncos coming up for Grayson Halton, 108, 111, 257. Emmett Johnson to the Vikings. Jadarian Price for the Panthers. Packers are going Drew Shelton. And the Steelers, they're going to go Harold Perkins. Chargers here. Vikings want to come up 11 spots for a 5th, and Carolina 5th next year for our 7th next year. I think we stick again with the Chargers. This board has fell well for us. I was hoping, praying we get Halton or Banks, but Darrell Jackson's not a terrible player either. That's my 3rd need for the Chargers before we get to the QB2, wide receiver, and edge rushers. I just think that the board's fallen perfectly. And although I would love to get Bryce Lance in this offense, I think that the addition of Darrell Jackson Jr. would be really solid. He also was another player that looked really good at the Senior Bowl, 6'5", 337, can stuff the run, has some tenacity at the pass rush. So give me Darrell Jackson Jr. for the Chargers. Aiden Fisher goes to the Dolphins. Katron Allen for the Jags. Bears going to Cario Davis. Max Clare for the Dolphins. Denai Dennis Sutton for the Bills. Eli Stowers for the Cowboys. Connor Liu for the Rams. Jude Bowery for the Dolphins. Patriots going Brian Parker. Bryce Lance goes to the Seahawks. That's perfect. Jake Golday, Giants coming up 105, 193. Fabechi Nwaiwu for the Jets. Steelers go Brendan Thompson. And the Jags end it with Malik Muhammad. So here's what we got. The Chargers. I really enjoyed this draft for the Chargers. They hit all 3 of my top 3 needs for them as the board fell. Aliva Vega Ione to get inside help for Justin Herbert and pass protection. Genesis Smith in the 2nd round out of Arizona. Solidify the future there with Tony Jefferson, the elder statesman, and Darrell Jackson Jr. In the 3rd to get some depth on that interior D-line as well. The Eagles, we were a little bit aggressive. Akeem Messidor, I really love that selection at 23. Need to get an edge rusher in the 1st round for sure, regardless of who it is for Philly. 2nd round, okay. Kenyon Sadiq fell all the way to day 2. We had to go up and get him to get the future after Dallas Goedert is gone next year potentially. So Kenyon Sadiq, I think, is excellent value there at 33. He was ranked 17th by PFSN. So what did we do? We traded 98, a 3rd next year, and 54 to come up to get 33 and a 7 this year as well. And then Ted Hurst in the 3rd round. I really liked him and Bryce Lance there, but went with Ted Hurst, guy I saw with my own 2 eyes in person. Physical player, lighter than Lance, but a guy that can be another one of those jump ball type of players for Jalen Hurts in this offense. So really loved both of these drafts here, 3 picks apiece. And of course, I'm going to side with the Eagles. I mean, they they hit their needs, and I would be excited to have these three guys as the top three picks for Philly if it happened this way. But Chargers fans, y'all should be happy if this ends up like this too. I think those three players would be excellent additions for Jim Harbaugh's squad. So that is the show for today. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and TikTok at Football Addicts Pod. And we will see y'all back on Thursday when we do the Chiefs and the Bengals. See you then.